Hey, welcome back to the How to Podcast series. It's Dave with you with a very special message for you, the listener of the How to Podcast series. What's up, Dave? What's going on? It's Podcasthon this week in podcast world. Podcasthon.org is the website. Now, why is this important? A, we have this platform called the podcast, and we can leverage this podcast platform for good, not evil. You can be your own superhero by taking your podcast, your amazing audience, and pointing the attention of your audience away from you for a moment to something that really means something to you, a charity of your choice, and raise awareness for a charity that's very meaningful for you, and be a part of Podcasthon. Now, if you missed this year, you need to come back next year, okay? There's a lot of advantages, which we'll get into. But Podcasthon is a great opportunity for you to get in front of people and tell people about a charity that means something special to you. Now, for me, I have 9 podcasts now. I know, I have a problem. I am focusing my attention and my audience towards a charity that means a lot to me personally. My wife and I are avid pet lovers. I don't think there's been a time... Well, there's only maybe a year or so where we had no pets in our home, but we've always had pets. And I would say 99% of our pets have been from the local Humane Society shelter. And I think, you know why it's important to us? Because these pets, with nothing that they've done, have ended up in a shelter with great, amazing people who are taking care of them, keeping watch over them, feeding them, caring for them, and helping to put them into loving homes. And I'm talking about the Humane Society, international society from around the world that really focuses on getting these animals into a loving home. Right now, as I record this, Penny, my cat, is sitting in front of the fireplace to my left, enjoying the fire. Right, Penny? Yeah, she's not even looking at me. She loves my little gas fireplace in my recording studio here. And she just stares at it like she's going to change the world. She just stares at this flame. Penny is 10 years old. In a room full of kittens for adoption. Penny was one of the oldest cats there. And when I walked up to the cage, Penny started purring like a motorboat, rubbing my hand through the cage. And I'm like, okay, you've heard this. You're coming home with me, right? So, yeah, Penny is here. And she doesn't like to be held, but she loves to be loved. And this little purring machine beside me, you might actually hear in some podcasts a random cat sound. That's Penny. She's always with me when I'm recording, and I love having her here. So that's Penny. I also have Burton. Now, Burton is a combo of a Jack Russell and a Beagle. He's about 14 years old now, and he's got some lumps. He's getting slower, doesn't get up and down the stairs as fast, but one of the most kindest, gentlest dogs you'll ever meet. Loving, and yeah, he's just so special. A family was giving Burton up because they could take care of him, and we swooped in and grabbed him, and we've had him for many years. Love Burton. And then we also have Django, who's the most recent addition to our home. Django is a German Shepherd breed, and he is beautiful. He's like a 4-year-old. He gets into all kinds of trouble. Chewed my wife's glasses, not a good look. But anyways, he's a great little addition to the house as well. Big bark, big presence, and he just loves climbing on you as if he was a little dog. Django was surrendered to our local Humane Society because his owner was having mental health crisis and couldn't take care of himself and Django at the same time. So, no fault of Django's, he was brought into the Humane Society. And when we saw him, it's like, oh, instant connection. And we love Django. And we also have a turtle. Yeah. The turtle is the oldest member of our family for pets because someone when I was going to school, was moving couldn't take their turtle with them, and they didn't know what to do with it. So we brought the turtle home, and we have a turtle. So there you go. So that's our home full of pets. 4 amazing pets, and they're all adopted. So I chose for Podcasthon 2025 the Humane Society. And I'm going to have a link to the Humane Society and what they do in the show notes. And I'd love for you to go and give them some support. You can donate, okay, just so you know, I don't make any money at this. Podcasthon doesn't make any money at this. Anything that you do to donate to this organization goes straight to them. I'm just here to point you in their direction. No money comes to me. No money goes to Podcasthon. None of that. It's all about the charity. And every charity you're going to hear about through podcasthon.org, all of that money for all the charities selected go to those specific charities. So that's a beautiful thing. So here's a little bit more about what the Humane Society does. And I'd love for you to go support them. A link in the show notes to the Humane Society. A link to our Podcasthon page on podcasthon.org. And this is what it's all about. I'm going to come back and tell you, on top of doing great things for this charity and why you should participate and support your favorite charity, on the next opportunity to do this is I'll share a few bonuses for you as a podcaster by being involved that are supplemental to helping your favorite charity. I think it really help your show. So here's a little bit from the Humane Society, what they do around the world to help pets. And I just love this group. I love what they do, and I support them. So please, take a second to listen to what they do. We'll get back to you in a second. Here's a little bit more about the Humane Society.
For 70 years, the Humane Society family of organizations has worked side by side around the globe to create a more humane world for animals. Because we know animal cruelty is in what we eat, in what we wear, in how we live. Animal cruelty is everywhere. But so is compassion. We care for animals who are suffering today, and we tackle the root causes of cruelty for a kinder tomorrow. We bring big ideas, bold action, and the conviction that we can make a difference. Because it's not enough to save the day. We have to change the world. We're building a humane world where wild animals stay wild and protected, where farmed animals no longer suffer, and no animals are used in experiments, where our companions are cared for throughout their lives. We are becoming one humane world for the end of animal cruelty. Together, we can make it happen. Come with us as we become a humane world for animals.
So my encouragement for you, if you're thinking about bringing a pet into your home, I know you can go online and find a breeder and buy a brand new puppy and bring it home. So much fun. But remember, there are cats, dogs, rabbits in your local Humane Society who are looking for a second chance. Again, the reason they are in that facility is not always because of something done by the animal. They're looking for a new start. So my encouragement for you is to reach out and be a part of something great in your community. Help give a life to an amazing animal and make their life better. So please consider doing that. Thank you for listening. Now, there's also a side benefit to being a part of Podcasthon. We had the creator of Podcasthon on a previous episode, and you can go back and listen to that. And Jérémie was talking about just how important this is to him, why he does it. There's a benefit to you as a podcaster as well. It's a side benefit for being involved in this. And this is also an encouragement for you to participate in things like this because it really helps your show. Your involvement in Podcasthon puts you onto the Podcasthon website, which links directly back to your website for your podcast, which you have a website for your podcast, right? Yeah. So it links to your website, and those are called backlinks. Why is a backlink important? Because as the traffic grows on podcasthon.org, and you're there, and they link to you, Google loves when one website that's doing very well links to your website and boosts you up. It helps. It really, really, really helps. Google loves backlinks. Google loves when websites do that, cooperate with each other. So just simply being a part of this Podcasthon family, you gain the connection with an audience. So thank you to all those that listened to the show, that met with Jérémie. We've had him on our meetup on meetup.com. We came in and talked about Podcasthon. We've had him on this podcast. To everyone that's part of the How to Podcast family participating, thank you. Thank you. And I hope that we raise many, many dollars around the world for the charities that we have selected as podcasters. Thank you for participating in this. It means so much. To Jérémie, to his amazing team of volunteers that pull this together, to every different charity around the world that was given the acknowledgement by you as a podcaster. And one other little thing that's kind of cool about the podcasthon.org website, go there and you can sort by country. So if you want to find, if you're in Canada like me and you want to find a bunch of other Canadian podcasts, click on the little drop-down menu and just highlight the Canadian podcast participating this year, 2025, in Podcasthon. You'll see some other Canadian podcasts that you can fall in love with. If you're in the US or wherever you are, click on the drop-down menu. And my encouragement for you is to not miss your opportunity in 2026 to come and join us next March, mid-March next year, when we do Podcasthon 2026. Don't miss your opportunity to be a part of this, to shine a light on the charity of your choice, and to encourage people to come and participate in supporting great charities around the world. Thank you to Jérémie and for his entire team for doing Podcasthon. Thank you so much for listening to this special mini episode featuring all things around the Humane Society, having adoptable pets in your home. For something that's very meaningful for me, I really appreciate you allowing me to do this today, and for listening. Go ahead and click the links, and if you can, support the Humane Society, either locally or globally. There's a link in the notes for you. And again, remember, none of the money comes to me. None of the money goes to Podcasthon. It's all about our charity of choice. Thank you for listening. And thank you for supporting the charities featured this year at podcasthon.org 2025. Thank you for listening. Thank you for participating. And thank you for your support. Catch you on the next episode. Take care.